Good morning. Today we will apply what we said last lecture on poetic devices. First of all, I'd like to remind you of the differences between elements of fiction and poetic devices, the author's techniques or the poet's techniques. Today the focus is on tone and what is the difference between tone and mood. Tone is the poet's attitude towards a subject. Mood is the atmosphere, the overall feeling created by the author or by the poet. Our poem today is entitled Homage to My Hips. It's in your book, page 63. So let us introduce the poet and analyze poetically the poem. ركز على الصورة هنا بقى وما تجيبنيش خالص. Our poet today is an Afro-American poet. She is Lucy Clifton. She is a gifted Afro-American poet and awarded many international prizes. Homage to My Hips is a feminist manifesto. It's about female empowerment. Clifton's poetry in general is simple, direct, economical, and going beyond boundaries physically and emotionally. Clifton is keen on personal freedom as displayed in her poem Homage to My Hips. Actually, the poem is an extended personification. Hips are personified as enchanted females that move, dance, spin, practice magic like an enchantress. The poem is full of visual and poetic internal and external rhyme. Actually, the poem is an attack on male-dominated society. آخر جملتين اللي هو إيه؟ The poem. أقول تاني. The poem is full of visual and kinetic imagery, also full of internal and external rhyme. The poem is an attack on male-dominated society. Let us read the poem. Homage to my hips. These hips are big hips. They need space to move around in. They don't fit into little petty places. These hips are free hips. They don't like to be held back. These hips have never been enslaved. They go where they want to go. They do what they want to do. These hips are mighty hips. These hips are magic hips. I have known them to put a spell on a man and spin like a top. So the aim of this poem is to examine the poetic techniques and concepts. And why hips? The purpose is to study and to show critical appreciation, to consider the tone of the speaker. So as I said before, tone is the attitude. The tone can be sarcastical, patriotic, humorous, rebellious. So let us examine scientifically and linguistically the poem. First of all, we have parallel structure. Parallel structure adds balance and rhythm. Repetition is very important poetic device to memorize this line and to establish a memorable line to be remembered for a long time. Repetition is displayed in line 5, line 6, line 11. Why hips are repeated? The female speaker is not ashamed of her hips. She refers to them positively. So the tone, her tone is self-assured, rebellious, humorous, yet she addresses a serious topic on freedom and self-expression. As I said in the last lecture, personification means adding or giving human attributes to non-living things. Hips are personified as charismatic females. Petty places is a reference or signifies the limitation imposed upon women in male-dominated society. So our themes are on freedom, liberation, self-love. Alliteration is displayed in the repetition of M sound, mighty, magic, and in the P sound, petty, places. All this adds internal rhyme to the poem. So petty places is the alliteration in petty places is very significant to reinforce the scorn of the smallness of oppressive society and the limited jobs allowed for women. So the poem is a song to female empowerment. It's an epic. The most important technical aspect in the poem is the use of the unique use of punctuation, the omission of capitalization. The speaker avoids using capital letters to rebel and to attack male domination, to repel against societies that look down upon females, upon societies that enslaved females. The speaker celebrates her physicality, and hips in particular are the most insecure part of a female body in a oppressive society. She wants to deconstruct the typical images of women in general and of the black woman in particular. I'm Negro, but I'm beautiful. I'm black, but I'm beautiful. I have curly hair, but I'm beautiful. Black doesn't mean evilness, doesn't mean ugliness. I'm black, but I'm beautiful. The poem is a celebration of a female physicality. So Clifton's hips are not only representative of her self-love for body and shape and size. The tone is, as I said before, rebellious. She is against limitation. She is against imprisonment. She is against confinement. Clifton produces writing that is full of joy and pride, manifested in the use of the exclamation mark in the last line. When she refers to men, to spin a man like a top, and ended the last line with exclamation mark. Actually, she historicizes the history of the black women before gaining their rights in America. They don't like to be held back. These hips have never been enslaved. Are reminders of the challenges and struggles faced by the predecessors, female predecessors, old female black women, before gaining their rights. Mighty hips, mighty magic hips, mighty hips, magic hips, and hips she known to be powerful enough to seduce and control men. It's a playful tone, deliberately pays honor and respect to her femininity in a humorous manner. Themes: self-love, celebration of her female physicality that cannot be enslaved anymore. Female physicality should be respected. She wants, behind such respect, to treat women's body in a positive way, not to look down upon women and to mistreat her body. So the tone of the poem evokes a sense of a challenge to all those forces that would pressure the speaker to feel not small, not beautiful, not well behaved. They want to convert the image about a female body. The speaker embraces all the parts of her that society look at in a negative way. These hips are mighty hips. These hips are magic hips, repetition and parallel structure, to assert the fact that she exists. Her body exists, her mentality exists, emotionally exists, physically exists. She big hips are set in contrast to little petty places. Big hips are not an insult, it's a praise, representative of her history, of her challenge, of her struggle to assert her identity. And why hips? Hips are the most noticeable part in female body. It should be treated positively and tackled in a respectful way. The second theme of women's worth. Huh? The image is craftily presented and dramatized. She doesn't speak high about women's rights. She uses metaphors. انتوا ضيعتوا المايك التاني وجايب لنا واحد بس في حاجه انا مش ظاهره، الكلام كله على الشاشه، انا مش عايز اظهر. اقول تاني الحته دي. The message is craftily dramatized. The whole poem or the message offers a deep insight of redefinition of beauty. Redefinition of beauty. Not to be narrow-minded about physical characteristics. Big hips need big space, big freedom to act, to work, to emphasize identities. The value of the speaker's hips doesn't depend on their beauty or shape or size. No, hips are a metaphor of independence. She needs freedom of self-expression. So we have two important significant samples in these poems. Hips, as I said before, and little petty places. They are juxtaposed, are contrast to each, are set in contrast to each other. Big hips, big needs big space. The poem states that the speaker's hips are big and need big space to move, to act, to work. So the hips are sample of her life, of her identity, of her ambition, of her future aspirations. So when the speaker celebrates her hips, she celebrates her entire womanhood. The narrative voice Who is the speaker? The speaker is a female speaker, Afro-American. The poem is written in the first person point of view because it's a personal topic. It's her own hips that need space to enjoy life, to assert identity. What is important about the poem, not only the use of poetic techniques and expressions. The speaker's description of her hips not only manifested in poetic terms, but she also uses powerful, short statements of fact. She is stating a fact about women's position in an oppressive society, limitation, imprisonment, confinement. She is against all. So we have to end our presentation by a famous quote said by Nelson Mandela: freedom cannot be achieved unless the women have been emancipated from all forms of oppression.